Hey there, thanks for tuning in to Duck Bricks. I'm Chris and today we have a fun custom LEGO model review, specifically the LEGO Star Wars TIE Interceptor Royal Guard Edition from BrickVault. So I have been buying a lot of the different MOCs on BrickVault, and if you're not aware of what BrickVault is, essentially it's a place where you can buy certain instructions for LEGO MOCs, typically from licensed themes with a ton from LEGO Star Wars, built by some of the most talented LEGO MOCists in the community. These builds are expert level designs featuring very intricate detail, but fully minifigure scale at the same time, and I am excited to bring you reviews of all of the different sets that I've made, starting off with this very striking red-colored TIE Interceptor, which only appeared in certain Star Wars Legends media. And so without further ado, let's just jump right into the review. Alright, so here we have the incredibly impressive, very striking red and black Royal Guard TIE Fighter. So this was a TIE Interceptor actually that appeared in only the Legends material of Star Wars, hasn't really been seen in any canon material, but despite that, as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to put it together. Now, in case you're not familiar with the other models on BrickVault, this is built by LEGO designer Jarek. He makes really fantastic Star Wars models and very accurate models far beyond anything that LEGO ever produced in sets, because he definitely does trade a little bit of stability in terms of making these sets just simply look very good. Now, this is the latest in a long series of different TIE Fighter models that he has come out with, all featuring a very similar design, brick-built wings and very sturdy 3D-like elements, as well as making the cockpit very bulbous and rounded using these rounded pieces right here to really try to capture the look and feel of the TIE Fighters, TIE Interceptors, and basically all the other TIE vehicles that ever appeared on screen. This TIE Interceptor in particular has a really simple stand, which is really great because it does have some trouble standing up on its own, although of course once I get home and get ready to display this, I will be showing it off on string flying through the air. So this particular TIE Interceptor is somewhat similar to the other TIEs, which we will be looking at in future videos, but definitely breaks the mold to a significant degree because, of course, it has the very different color scheme, but beyond that, it has these specialized fins that you have on these sides of the wings that are completely different than other stuff that we've seen before. Now, this is just such a cool model, and honestly, I can't even get into all the details of it without actually mentioning some of my favorite building techniques first. So let's just jump right into that. Starting off with the cockpit, you'll notice that the cockpit has actually quite a lot of different studs on the side and studs not on top sequences building within it. Actually, what's really cool about this is that the cockpit itself is made up of two different, somewhat symmetric builds, which you can see up here and down here, but just overlaid on top of each other and linked by two studs attaching on the side. It's a little bit hard to describe exactly what I mean by that, but once you actually build one of these, you know exactly how they come together. It is incredibly impressive how it all works, and I really love the attention to detail, right down to the engine exhaust being red on the back here. You've got a large port on the back here for the engine, and they even had to include one of the rarer LEGO collectible minifigure pieces, the binocular piece in red, just as a back-mounted gun or viewer scope right there. So the way that this all works is that these two pieces just are separated together and become attached based on two standard clips that are attached right here. And then of course you have a fully detailed interior when you open the cockpit up here. Let's just do that right now. So I'm going to open this up, move that open, and you can see that there even is a detailed little cockpit for the figure itself with some controls using minifigure hands, and you can even see that just barely there are some control panels that are printed on the inside, although it is very dark in there and it's probably really hard to see. And then you can just simply close it up like so. And there you go, you are ready for flight. So this again is a really detailed model, and moving onwards to the way the wings are constructed, I was incredibly impressed by especially the way that the wings are held together. You see, most custom LEGO models do tend to have a problem of just being really flimsy, but this one actually does not. I can pick this up and swoosh it around and not be afraid of anything falling off. And that is basically in part due to how strong and sturdy the wing construction is. You see, the wings are mounted on sets of hinges, but they're also attached via a clip here and another clip on this side, ensuring that the wings cannot be bent around. They are potentially always fixed in this position here, and you can really get a lot of swooshing around with this model, and the wings just are not going to fall off. Look at how rough I'm being with this custom model. It's honestly better than some official LEGO sets, which really blew me away. So first of all, you'll notice that the design here is again featuring that similar type of studs angled oppositely technique, again anchored by these studs on the side technique here. Really interesting because LEGO does not often employ the building technique for this, but honestly, it doesn't even seem that illegal. In fact, the only quote-unquote illegal building techniques that I could even find on the model itself are probably the way that the guns are mounted on the ends of the wings here. As you can see, I'm gonna back this up a little bit, but they're literally just clips that are clipped into each other. It definitely is a technique that works, but not something that LEGO would do in an official set. And of course, another slightly illegal one is, again, using minifigure hands as the joysticks, but even that, come on, that's not a big deal. For a model that is fully custom, I would have expected it to be a lot more fragile, and frankly, it isn't. It's just a really sturdy build that I'm very impressed with. Of course, the same technique continues along to the other side here. I love the way that the BrickVault colors are fully shaped, just like so. You have the red striping on the outside, and then you have the black inner side, which is using a technique that LEGO does not normally employ with TIE fighters by actually building these as studs on the side building techniques. They're not using just standard plates like they would do for other TIE fighters. Instead, these are actual solid LEGO bricks. They're standard LEGO triangular bricks and trapezoidal bricks and even some square and rectangular ones, but they're all just laid together in an angle like this, which truly comes together to look really good on this model. If you had to get one, if you didn't really care about it being Legends or Canon, this would be the one to get. And I was really happy putting this together because I just loved how sturdy it is as a final product and just how accurate it is to the source material. This truly is the most accurate TIE sort of ship that we've ever gotten from any sort of LEGO builder out there, in my opinion. But I do want to talk a little bit about the price. So as you can see, this is pretty much scaled approximately with some of the other LEGO spaceships that we've gotten before, particularly scaled with some of the other minifigure scale TIE Interceptors. However, it is very dense. As you can see here, the wings are a lot more solid. This feels very heavy when you pick it up. It truly has a heft to it that not a lot of Star Wars spaceships have, and that comes at a price. Because you see, this cost me around $150 US to build, whereas a normal TIE Interceptor probably would cost you, I don't know, maybe 40, 50, 60 at most. So absolutely, you're paying for the detail here, the accuracy, and I had to get pieces from Bricklink and the Bricks and Pieces service all together combined, and that's really what you're paying for here, is the accuracy. Sure, there is a couple of things that I definitely feel could have been cleaned up. Not sure why these studs are just fully exposed there. And this is definitely an illegal technique that easily is one of the more flimsy ones in the set because the clip is only anchored on just barely the edge of the wedge there. But all in all, this is just beautifully detailed. I personally think it's worth the price, but I certainly am very interested in what people think, and it's definitely a question I'm going to be asking as I review more of these BrickVault models. Are the bricks worth the price? And that is not even mentioning the price of the instruction manual, which if you want to buy all of the BrickVault Star Wars ships, which I have, be prepared to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on just instruction manuals alone, because the instructions are honestly pretty pricey. And typically what I do is just wait for a May the 4th sale. For instance, this past May 4th had a 20% off instruction sale, because really that is the only time where it actually feels worth it to get something like this instructions wise, because it is fully on sale. Now, the silhouette of this vehicle is incredibly accurate. I love the amount of detail. It looks like such a good display, and even play model, you can really just take it off the stand, plop it off like that, put it in your hand, and just swoosh it around. You can just get all sorts of stuff with this, go crazy with how you're flying it, just go through all sorts of fun stuff like this, and it is just a really good model to have in general. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Have you ever built anything from BrickVault, and what has your experience been? Personally, I am trying to build everything BrickVault's made, and it's been pretty mixed so far, just in terms of stability. Some models like this are surprisingly stable, and I'm very impressed with how they came together. Other models literally crumble apart if you look at them wrong. You kind of have to roll a die here, but again, that's why I'm doing this review series, to tell you which are the best, which are the most stable, and which I would recommend to build myself. And so I want to grade this model on a couple of points: stability, price, and aesthetics. Aesthetically speaking, this is a 10 out of 10. Much like many of the other BrickVault models, it looks absolutely fantastic. I can absolutely see where the TIE design is coming from, and this blows away any other TIE fighter that LEGO has ever made.
For stability, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. Without the stand, it does tend to kind of rock forward somewhat. It's not a big deal that it does that. It's just something I do want to mention. It tilts forwards. However, it is very, very stable. There are a few things that are a little annoying. For instance, if you grip it the wrong way and push this inwards, it kind of causes a dimple where you have to open the windscreen, push that piece back outwards, and then close it back out again. But as long as you're careful, it's not a huge deal. Of course, there are a few flimsy things, like the tips of the wings are a little bit easier to break off than the rest of the model, but all in all, I was just really impressed by how sturdy this is and just how much of a beating it can take. So that's why, again, stability, 8 out of 10. And now for the price. For around the $150 I paid, I'm honestly going to give this one a 6 out of 10. Honestly, just by looking at the size, it does not feel like an $150 LEGO model. $100, that's pushing it. $80, maybe. Sure, when I have it in hand, it feels very dense, but it simply is not a very large model. And I certainly think a lot of people will just simply be put off by the price to build these, which is unfortunate because they are beautifully done, absolutely fantastic renditions of the source material, just very, very expensive because they use a lot of rare pieces and they're very, very dense. But with that, I have summed up my review of the fantastic TIE Interceptor Royal Guard Edition. You can find it on BrickVault, linked in the description below. Again, it has been designed by the designer Jarek, a famous LEGO Star Wars designer who has done so many fantastic ships, and hopefully this is just the first of many reviews that I'll be putting out on BrickVault design ships. So also let me know in the comments below if there is a vessel that you want to see me review from BrickVault, or really any custom Star Wars MOC. Let me know. I've been playing Skywalker Saga. I'm in the mood for more Star Wars vehicles and starfighters. Send them my way and I will review them and let you know if it's worth buying. This, despite me giving it a lower score on the price, I definitely think is worth putting together at least one of his TIE fighters. Maybe if you've built one, you've built them all, but this one certainly is the most unique.
Alright, and with that, we have summed up our review of the TIE Interceptor Royal Guard Edition. This was a fascinating build, and it was one of my favorite builds I've ever made from BrickVault, and stay tuned for even more LEGO builds from BrickVault from the Star Wars line, because I've gotten pretty much every single Star Wars vehicle that they've had to offer, from every single TIE fighter to all the Rebel ships, to even going back to the prequel era with some of these Separatist ships and stuff like that. I've pretty much tried, or I'm on a quest to try to build every single Star Wars build from their library. So do stay tuned for those, and thank you so much for tuning into DuckBricks. Subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye-bye for now.